going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the MLB podcast. I'm your host, Alex Jankowski. With me, as always, Julian, Edlow, Steve Buchanan. Not in any order of importance there. Had to start somewhere.
Damn right.
Well, we did talk last episode about Madden rankings, and then we brought up playbook rankings and how I'm ranked in 99, and how just because I write with Steve Buchanan, that doesn't bring down my rankings. So,
when did we talk about that? I wasn't involved in that conversation.
yes, you were, because you said Tom Brady is a 96, and he should be lower.
No,
he doesn't have much around him. Here we go, starting right off with an argument. You did say this. You said Tom Brady's a 96, and he should be lower because he doesn't have much around him.
Well,
and I said I shouldn't be discounted because I'm around Steve Buchanan.
My argument there would be you just gave yourself a 99, and the adjuster rankings have yet to be unveiled yet, so don't get too ahead of yourself.
Well, as we know in Madden, there's no 100, so I don't know what else I would be ranked.
Where else? There's a 0 in there somewhere. All right. We're going to stay in the past just for a second, talk about a game last night that I guess was the MLB's version of Rams-Chiefs. That Monday night game. Yankees-Twins, it was 14-12 in 10 innings was the final. 35 hits combined. And one of those games where when you're talking about a 162-game season and, none of them matter really, one between two playoff teams, two teams that will likely be divisional winners. Yep. You had every reporter, every national reporter is tweeting about this game at midnight. It was an actual exciting moment for baseball at a time where everyone's bemoaning how there's nothing exciting in sports right now.
It was an excellent game. I was kind of flipping back and forth between some of the other games here last night, but this is what you kind of wish baseball was. This was a non-playoff game. Not huge implications here, but it just had that playoff feel. It had that playoff mentality. Obviously, 26 runs doesn't hurt.
Some good defense, though, too. I mean,
it was some really good defense, too. But just a really, really good game. And, it was expected to be one of the highest scoring games of the night. But, we see Herman, who's been great all season, get absolutely lit up, and then just kind of off to the races after that point. But really, this is two really good offenses duking it out. I mean, how many times do you score 12 runs and lose? That's it's pretty rare, but just a really, really good game last night.
And at home, too, a Twins team that was, 31-19 at home.
The only unfortunate thing is if you took Gary Sanchez because he went 0 for 5. I don't know how you do that in a 14-run game, but props to him. And he probably got injured on top of that, too.
So
he did.
I'm trying to look up the time of game. I don't have the exact time of game, but an article says the 5-hour 14-12 game. So, as good as it was, we still need to find a way to capture that action and make it 3 hours.
Condense it.
5 hours
we
and 3
need
minutes.
To cut to how much?
5 hours and 3 minutes.
Okay, so 5 hours, yeah. So we want that action, and we need to shave 2 hours off of it.
Right.
And then it's perfect. And it has to be that way every night.
Is it so much to ask?
Sounds like a tall order, but or just don't watch the first 2 hours and then start watching the game, and then you're fine. But
so basketball.
I mean, yeah, except basketball is short enough that even if the first 3 quarters suck, you can still watch the whole thing.
See, I would think baseball is actually the perfect sport for this generation and this culture because you're not watching the game anyway. You're on your phone when the game's on, no matter what sport you're watching, and then you just hear a bat, you look up, oh, all right, and then you're back down to your phone. Let them go through their another 7 pitches, and
so
and
true
then maybe
though.
something will happen.
It really is so true.
But takeaways from this game, potential playoff preview, like we said, and it is just one game, and obviously the main takeaway is both teams have very good offenses, but, do you look at it any differently in how you might rate this matchup if it were to be a playoff matchup?
If anything, this reinvigorated my hope for the Twins because obviously they've been struggling, and couldn't be at a worse time too because the Indians are raking. You talk about a month ago, the Indians look like they were out of the race, probably going to be sellers at the trade deadline. And now it's kind of totally flipped. The Indians are very much in contention. The Indians should be buyers at the deadline if they want to try to catch up to the Twins here. But this really kind of showed me that this Twins offense that we saw all season long, that's kind of, taken a hit over the past couple weeks, is still so dynamic. Like, they have so many power hitters in this lineup that you just go through and every one of these guys could park one, or every one of these guys could hit, a double, triple. Like, they just have so much power that they can put up with the best offense. They can put up with good pitching, and I just think that they're going to be a force come playoff time, whether it be coming out of the division or the wild card. But if you had your doubts about the Twins, I think last night really showed you that they're definitely still in the mix.
I mean, for me, it showed me everything that you just said about the Twins, and then the Yankees still won the game, and that tells me that as good as anybody can be in the AL, like, the Yankees will find a way to out-hit you and score more runs.
Yep.
And they still have a good staff and a good bullpen, but like they'll just figure it out offensively is kind of what it tells me.
Yeah, figure it out like they only hit 2 home runs in a game that they scored 14 runs for the Yankees. That's
crushed a good pitcher.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean Didi 5 for 5 with 7 RBI, and
that's pretty good.
Both of these lineups, without a doubt, 1 through 9 are dangerous.
Yep.
And it's really obviously, hopefully these two teams, it would seem like if these two teams meet in the playoffs, it'll be a series and not just the one-game wild card.
Right.
Where would you put the edge then on starting pitchers? I mean, we likely wouldn't see Kyle Gibson versus Domingo Germán in a playoff matchup, but...
Gibson's been actually one of their better pitchers, really. Aside from Barrios, it's been Gibson. Odorizzi's had some flashes.
Gibson might be 3.
Yep. I think the Twins' pitching's a little underrated, honestly. Like, Odorizzi, Gibson is not guys I would feel great about going into a playoffs, but, it's a lot better than some of the other teams.
Should they be a team you think going after a Stroman or a Bumgarner?
Oh, 100%. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, that, I think that's the only piece that the Twins are missing. They need one more pitcher, whether it be in the bullpen or be in the starting rotation. Like, they're missing one more piece. Because if you have a guy like Bumgarner or a guy like Stroman, it makes a huge difference in a 5-game series. You're not running out one of these guys that's, mediocre at best. And if you're going to make it far in the playoffs, pitching matters, obviously. That's, I'm not blowing anybody away with that analysis. But, kind of like what Julian said, the Twins just scored 12 runs and still lost. That's a problem. That's got to come back and bite you at some point. But I would be shocked if they stood pat at the deadline. I think they know where they're at. I think they know what they need, and there's players out there to be had. But if you believe what the beat writers are saying, it's going to take a mountain of prospects to get these guys because there seems to be more buyers than sellers.
Oh yeah, no, it's 100% a seller's market.
Yeah.
Well, at least when it comes to starting pitching, and so you'd have to be comfortable. Like we talk about depth 1 through 9. Would you be willing to part with one of those 9 players potentially to get a pitcher?
Yes, but I don't know. I don't think that will be the price because you normally want prospects cash, whatever. And the problem is that the Yankees are always buyers. So, like, if the Twins are interested in Stroman, the Yankees are interested in Stroman, and they have no problem giving more. So the Twins are going to have to be really aggressive, in my opinion. Bumgarner's price is going to be ridiculous just because of how hot the Giants are, and they're now fighting for a wild card. So like
they might even want to keep him, right?
Exactly. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but they arguably can get one of those wild card spots, which doubles the price like right out of the gate. It's like, well, we don't need to trade him. We might make the playoffs, right. And then you automatically just have to throw more in there. So Bumgarner is going to be really tough to get, but he's also obviously like the biggest name, the guy that you would want to get. So he's going to get some really aggressive offers, I feel like.
The worst thing to happen to baseball right now is the Giants getting hot.
Yes.
It really, literally
crazy hot out of nowhere.
It ruins the entire trade market because it was Bumgarner was the guy that everybody was shooting for. Now all of a sudden, this team that's going to end up going nowhere, they're not going to make the wild card. Get my one shot. They're not going to make the wild card.
The Giants are winning the World Series now.
This is my one shot.
This is automatic now.
This is my one shot.
Sorry, go ahead.
They're not going to make the wild card. They're definitely not going to win the division. So what the hell are we doing here? Get rid of Bumgarner. Get your prospects. Go back to your NL West and 14 games behind. But really, like now they have to think about should we stand pat? Should we keep Bumgarner? Like you have to think it now. If you're the Giants, you're 2 games out of a wild card spot.
Well, and that's where other names now. I mean, you've seen Mike Minor. While the Rangers are kind of seemingly doing the opposite, Mike Minor's name's been getting floated around, but he's been struggling. Matthew Boyd, also a name that has a lot more potential. Well, the issue there is, not necessarily the issue, but he has 3 years left on his deal.
Yeah.
Really, obviously, team-friendly deal.
Very.
So you're going to have to pay a lot more likely for him, even though what you're looking for, obviously, these teams are looking for a guy to help them right away. And Boyd certainly has the strikeout potential, but he's also a little bit more inconsistent. Certainly doesn't have the pedigree that Madison Bumgarner, probably not even really that Marcus Stroman has. So do you make a move for a guy like that who then you'll at least have for longer, so you feel a little bit better about what you're giving up, but you might not feel as good in the immediate, which is really the reason you're making the deal?
So that feels like, what's Stroman's deal? Is he in a contract year?
You're asking for actual facts here.
I know. We don't do facts here on Panel B, but from time to time we actually need one. For Boyd, what I was going to say is, starting with Boyd,
this is the last year of his deal.
Okay,
before he goes into one more year. He has one more year of arbitration.
Okay, so that makes Stroman like a perfect Twins guy, whereas we want him this year and we'll see where it goes and we're not committing to anything else. Whereas Boyd is like the perfect Yankees, Dodgers, Red Sox guy, where it's sure, we'll give you a ton of stuff for him, and we are planning on being contenders this year and next year and next year, and we'll take him for his whole deal.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, is two other names to watch is Robbie Ray, the Diamondbacks, and Caleb Smith with the Marlins. Now, I know the Marlins have said they don't want to trade Caleb Smith.
Because at some point you have to stop trading people?
He is nasty.
I like him a lot.
He's nasty, man. And I know the Marlins say they want to keep him, but they've said this many times before with a number of
with their entire roster that ended up getting shipped out 2 years ago.
Their word means nothing. But Robbie Ray is really interesting, too, because, the Diamondbacks are in a bad spot, but I'd be really surprised if they came away with the playoff spot. They're only 3 games out of the wild card right now, but they're one of those teams that, they're probably better off rebuilding. They got some good core young guys, but the package that Robbie Ray could get you, I think, is worth so much more than trying to vie for a playoff spot and very likely take an early exit. They have a really bad bullpen. That's not going to help them. That they wouldn't get through the playoffs with that bullpen. So I think trading Robbie Ray, especially if Bumgarner is off the market, people are going to overpay for a guy like Ray, who has really straightened it out as of late. We've seen 3-4 good starts from him now. He's a good strikeout guy. That would be a guy I think is going to get a lot of attention over the next week or so. The trade deadline is a week from today.
Let's talk about hitters. Starting with one who's, making no friends on his old team, it's his current team, but likely to be his old team soon. That's Nick Castellanos, who actually might be speaking for management here when he rips Comerica Park, calling it a joke. And the reason he's calling it a joke is because of how hard it is to hit a home run there, how far out the fence is, which Comerica Park, not really. I mean, he needs to play a little DFS and learn that there are a lot of other pitchers' parks that will target more than Comerica Park. But I think he's trying to help his trade value here by saying, look, I would have a lot more home runs somewhere else. Are we looking at him as the hottest hitter on the market, a la fellow Tiger JD Martinez from a few years ago?
It kind of feels like the hitters market is dead. Mm-hmm. All you're hearing the buzz
That's
about
the buyer's market
is
there.
Pitching, right. So I guess by default, he would be a guy to move because the majority of the team with all the hitters you'd want are pretty much still in contention. There's really no team. For example, maybe Garrett Cooper with the Marlins would be talked about a bit more.
It's almost like hitting is more important this year than pitching. Imagine.
So Castellanos is he's probably the number one guy here. And I mean, Jesus, he's just praying he gets out of Detroit. I mean, going absolutely nowhere. Going nowhere for the next foreseeable future. We're talking about years to come now. They need a major, major overhaul. But Castellanos, Boyd, those are the guys that are going to re-up this farm system and push him to the next level in a couple of years. But I think he's the guy. But
I don't know if the Tigers are getting pushed to the next level in the next couple of years.
A couple of years.
Hot take. Fire up the hot take machine.
When I said couple of years, I'm 10. All right, just loose term on the word couple.
like we just talked about, like we were just talking about Yankees versus Twins, like the 9 hitters are deadly on those teams. Like Gleyber Torres hits 9 all the time.
Yep.
The Twins are hitting guys that were hitting like 3rd and 4th for other lineups a couple years ago in the 9-hole.
The Twins apparently like have all these catchers that can hit.
Let's bet 5 catchers in the leadoff spot in 5 days and set a new record. Like these teams have bats. Like why would you give so much up for Castellanos when it's like, why don't we go after any one of these number of pitchers? It just makes no sense. So like. And even when you look at the wild card teams, like I guess like maybe Oakland or Tampa, like those teams could maybe use a bat somewhere in there. That like the Red Sox are going for a wild card. Their offense is fine. They obviously need pitching. Who else is in there? Cleveland. I guess
they're all starting to get hot right around now.
Yeah, I guess Cleveland maybe arguably needs a bat as much as they need pitching.
They need pitching more than they need bats.
Okay.
Right, so if they need pitching, then why are we hearing everywhere that they're going to trade Trevor Bauer? There's just another report that the Phillies are talking.
Things have changed quickly.
Yes.
2 weeks ago, Cleveland looked like they weren't going to be in it at all. Mm-hmm. Like that's just how quickly it's gone for Cleveland. Like we were talking about even on this show a couple of weeks ago that Bauer was looking like he was going to be the big prize prospect of this trade market. But 8-2 in their last 10 makes a huge difference.
Steve and I follow this division very closely.
Yes,
we may or may not have some futures, and by we I mean I.
But yeah, I think one team to actually really watch for in terms of being a seller is the Reds. The Reds were...
Eugenio Suarez is not in the lineup this afternoon.
Ooh.
Are we on Hug Watch? He would be the guy.
It is Hug Watch. Not even that, but Puig, Jeanette potentially, Jesse Winker, Votto.
Yeah, lefties off the bench, I feel like are always a prize commodity.
Right. But, I mean, they're going nowhere. We thought this was going to be the year they were going to turn around. Maybe even Sonny Gray. Yeah,
that's a nice
There's
chip.
just a lot of names on that team that I feel like have underperformed and could end up getting a nice return.
And they have actually a pretty promising young core as well. When you talk about on the mound, Luis Castillo, and then...
Oh, yeah, right.
And Senzel as well, and what he's shown since he's being called up. But no, you're 100% right in that at some point you just might as well take what you can get, build around it. You think about a team like the Blue Jays are in the same position, I think, where guys like Justin Smoke, obviously Stroman, the older players, like you're best off getting some asset for them and then letting the Guerreros, the Gurriels, just start
the
take
Reds
over.
are a weird team because like
they score a bunch of runs. Their run
pitching.
differential is insane for a team that's as bad as they are.
Yeah, it's
right. They
36.
score runs, but they have Castillo, they have Gray, they have a really good bullpen. Like, why aren't they good? It might be just because they're in that NL Central, which is the most competitive division in baseball.
Because
like
Christian Yelich hits like 18 homers every time he plays the Reds.
Yeah, that's a huge point. That's probably the whole run differential right there. Like, if I'm the Reds, like you think about selling, but at the same time, it's like, what if we give this a try again next year and maybe get a little more lucky? We have an ace in Castillo. We have a great 2 in Sonny Gray. We have a great bullpen, and our offense scores runs, like you just said. Like,
Loser
they could
mentality.
easily win that division if they just started from scratch. If they started from scratch, they could easily win that division.
They suck.
How do they? I just told you they have two good. They have 2 good starters, a good bullpen, and a good offense, and now they suck.
They just can't put it together. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
I know. So what if they do put it together because they have everything?
Okay, what do they put it together with? Let's hear it.
I don't know.
Guys.
Hire me as the manager. I'll put it together.
Oh, yeah. Well, how are we going to put it
Problem
together?
solved.
How are we going to put it together? Oh, we'll do it. We got guys.
Yeah, I'm a great motivational speaker.
They need to get some more lefty power, take advantage of being at Great American Ballpark.
That would help.
I mean, it's Scooter
Joey
Gennett.
Votto could start hitting again.
Well, I mean, I think we're past
we're
holding
past
out hope
that.
for him.
He's just like the mascot now. He's the guy that MLB.com likes putting up videos of because he does these funny things in the bullpen. That's all he's working on.
That'll change when I'm the manager.
Speaking of which, Derek Dietrich as well. I mean, they just got to go back to the sleeveless jerseys. I mean, I think we all know that's been the key to their success, what limited success they've had.
Who would have known?
Shocker, if we want to change here from trade deadline to free agency, the NBA is going to investigate possible tampering and improper contract perks to circumvent salary cap. My question is, Why? Like that, it was so much fun. Like they keep extending free agency in the NBA now, where it's not just one day. They moved it 6 hours earlier, but you were still getting reports before that. They created that whole 1 week tampering. Like, you're the NBA, you know what sells here, and it's this absolute madness that takes place on Twitter. You got people. We're here applauding the MLB for having a game with 26 runs. Like, no, you guys got it. Like, keep going. Why try and stop this?
So, go ahead, Steve.
It's for
Give
show.
Your hot NBA take.
It's for show. I mean, let's be real. Like, it's going to happen. We know it's going to happen. But, they're just doing their due diligence. Yeah, we're looking into it. We'll make sure this doesn't happen anymore. And then they'll have their frenzy again next year. I mean, for someone that's not a huge NBA fan, that was amazing. Like, I was genuinely into what was going on. And
for somebody who was working on DK Live, that was not amazing.
Big night.
Yep.
I think we sent 71 news tweets that day.
Yeah, we were churning them out.
Sunday.
We were churning them out that night, but that was genuinely fun to follow. When you look at the baseball free agent market, that's a joke. Yeah. I mean, we had a party on the Sweat, and I blew up all these balloons because Bryce Harper finally signed like the middle of February. Right. The free agent starts in November. Like, it's
imagine if Kawhi signed with the Clippers in like late September, early October, and just waited that entire time. Like, that's the equivalent.
Well, it's all about incentive. So like, we understand, whether anyone will ever acknowledge it or not, the incentive for why these owners are taking so long to sign baseball players, and like, they don't want to, because of the lack of a salary cap, they don't want to sign them to these huge deals. The max contract in the NBA has made it like that null and void, right? Like, everyone knows you're if you have the space, you're signing these guys to max contracts.
Yep.
And that creates, so it's not, the owners aren't trying to wait to sign these guys for as little as possible. They're trying to be the ones who win the race to get these guys, and that just creates, this trickle down where everybody gets so hyped, and it's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the NBA offseason has everything right except for one thing. And that is, free agency needs to come before the draft, because then you get your chips in place and then see exactly what your need is going into the draft. The one thing that it would take away is the huge draft night trades, probably.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, those would happen in free agency first, and it's like a team trades.
Well, when Butler went to Minnesota a couple drafts ago.
Jimmy Butler for the number 5 pick and 3 players or whatever. That happens before the draft now, obviously. But other than the huge draft night trade takeaways, it just would smooth everything out a little bit. And that's something that I know that teams are like talking about. They want free agency before the draft. I used to be an NBA reporter, Steve.
Cool. Piece of crap.
So, like, that's one thing that would just smooth everything over. But other than that, the NBA offseason, no complaints. They do it all right.
It just shows how out of tune some of the other sports are. Like I guess with baseball.
By other sports, we mean baseball.
Hockey's kind of
hockey's
true. Okay, yeah.
The worst. I mean, so hockey takes place at the exact same time, which exacerbates how bad it is.
Right.
And because of these long-term deals that everyone's signing in hockey, there used to be, you would sign a kind of a bridge deal after your first deal. It wouldn't be the lucrative contract, wouldn't be your second contract. But now, the way that these teams are working, because, the Sidney Crosbys, the Alex Ovechkins, and then now every team assessing who their superstar players are, these players just never hit the market. They never. There's no free agency. I mean, the top free agent was Matt Duchene, because he was traded like 5 times and then finally was now back on this deal. Or Artemi Panarin, somewhat of a similar situation. And you're just not seeing. Well, I mean, there's a lot of issues with hockey in terms of superstar players. I
don't know who anyone is that you just said.
Exactly. Well, exactly. And because the way the game is played, they stifle their creative players, their playmakers. They just can't flourish as much. And we don't have to go into all of those issues, but suffice to say, there's a lot that the NHL could do to make their free agency a little bit more exciting. Probably not having it on the same day as the NBA would be a start.
That would definitely be a start. And then the other thing is just how the players took the power in the NBA. Like, NBA free agency didn't used to be this good. The players made it this way because they said, I'm not going to take the long-term extension with my team. I'm going to hit free agency and sign a 1+1 or sign a 2-year deal with a player option or whatever and take all the power. And like you just said, the stars in hockey, Ovechkin, Crosby, whoever, sign these long-term extensions and just stay in place. And like you see that news alert pop up and it's like, wow, like that's great, but like nothing changes.
Right.
You just stay with your team for a lot of money for long term. And like the NBA, something is always changing.
Right, and you have a lot of teams. That's how a lot of the same teams are the ones contending, and then these teams are already set in stone. Salary caps, you're either a team that's right up against it or a team who has to spend just to get to the floor. And then the trade deadline's just regurgitating the same second, third line guys, and that's it. And the MLB, you have the issue of the fact that like this whole arbitration thing is ridiculous as well, where these players just can't even get their worth for 4 or 5 years.
They're going to arbitration to like fight over $20,000.
Right.
It's like, give me a break. You'll get it back with one hot dog sale, for Christ's sake. Calm down.
Baseball, man.
Hey, man. Well, yeah. Unless there's a rain out, you never know in Washington. Or you always know, I guess, now.
Speaking of food, you need to stop eating breakfast sandwiches over your computer. Your computer is very messy. How can you work with that?
Crumbs.
I think it's always
There's
been
so
this
many
messy,
crumbs on
but
your
I don't
computer.
see any crumbs.
Yeah, clearly, because your computer is very. You need to Lysol your computer. It's very dirty.
Okay.
But that's
I'm
his
just letting
his
you know.
computer. That's not your computer.
I have to sit next to him. He's got all this breakfast.
I mean,
sandwich
it's
stuff.
not clean, but I don't see any like breakfast sandwich on the
Look at
computer.
how clean this computer is. It's very clean.
You just bought it.
I don't care. I took care of it. You got
To all
had
those
this for
who
like
are
3
listening,
years.
let me explain. I see a couple smudges on Julian's keyboard. Steve's looks free of detritus.
He bought this like 2 weeks ago. I've had this for like 3 or 4 years. Smudges will happen.
Well,
But this is
when
all-
episode 578 comes out, and we'll see what his computer looks like after
I'll
3
talk
years.
about this for the next 30 minutes. There's no breakfast sandwich on here. Otherwise, it would fall right off, and nothing is on the table.
I think this is just bitterness because Julian got the pick of the breakfast sandwiches before Steve.
Yes.
Very true.
My everything bagel that my breakfast sandwich came on would have some crumbs. But as you can see when I flip my computer over, no pieces of the everything bagel fell off. So we're clean.
It's very funny.
So I guess that takes us to
What a transition.
Mark Sanchez retired, R.I.P. in peace.
I didn't even know he was still active.
He was on was he on the Bears?
I couldn't even keep up.
I think
I think he was
so.
on the Bears.
He had
He
like
backed up Dak Prescott for a season. Maybe that was 2
Yeah.
years ago.
because he had like that random start.
Well, it was with the Eagles.
with
Like,
the
it was like-
oh,
Redskins.
yeah,
The
yeah,
Redskins. That was it.
Oh, yeah.
Redskins.
And he got hurt right away.
He was like the fourth quarterback.
He's making his
to
way through
start.
the NFC East there.
Yeah, it was so.
He was.
Dallas was the year before.
Wait,
that's what it was.
Every team but the Giants?
No
Because he was
Bears.
Eagles, Redskins, Cowboys. Yeah.
Yeah, he went Philly, Dallas, Washington. No Giants.
But I
But
remember.
he was in New York,
I
obviously.
remember we were talking about that because it was just
Why
like
did I think he was on the Bears?
out of the blue. It was like Sanchez's kind of start, and I don't think he even made it out of the first quarter. I think
Yeah.
he got
He got signed like that week on like a Wednesday,
Right.
and then started.
and then the
And then
Redskins.
sucked.
The Redskins went to who ended up for fit. I can't even keep up with who the Redskins had at quarterback last year, but it was just. I remember we were like, well, whatever
Well,
defense.
yeah, Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy.
Yeah.
It was. Oh, what a nightmare!
Shout out
though.
producer Matt.
Seriously,
Slacking me, Colt McCoy.
What a nightmare this guy was. Like, and now, but he's got like this high-profile job. They said at ESPN, like he's gonna be like one of their like top analysis or something. Like that's it just goes to show.
So when
that
you lose out on Tony Romo, get yourself some Mark
it just
Sanchez.
goes to show that you don't need to have any talent to be in the media. So anybody has a dream, just
I think
keep chasing.
I think he'll be good.
I
he'll be
don't
good in-
know.
I think he'll be better in the media than he was at quarterback.
Okay, did you think Jason Witten was going to be good?
No.
Okay, that's kind of what I compared to. It's like getting another Witten into the booth.
He was so bad that he literally got like scared into playing football again.
I will play football
was
again.
bad.
Right, yeah, like I am really bad at talking. I will just go get concussed again and call it a career.
The only player turned analyst, at least recent
Analyst.
Thank you.
No way to say you're not allowed talent to be on media.
Awkward talking.
I know. Sorry. The only one that I can think of recently that I actually enjoy is Alex Rodriguez. I think actually A-Rod is very good in the booth.
So you don't like Tony Romo?
I like
Tony Romo in spurts. Like, I can't take him for a whole game. Like, I don't know. He's totally. I feel like it depends on his mood. Like,
I will say the energy gets to me a little bit. I'm a very pessimistic person, maybe, and that's why. Like, at the very beginning of the game, thinking that every play is the biggest thing ever. Like, relax, Tony. Like, we're gonna have time here. It's Patriots Chiefs. We know the game will be exciting later.
That's what I mean. I think I can take him like in spurts.
You need to build it a little bit better.
Yeah. I think A-Rod is excellent, though. I think Rodriguez is great when he's on the broadcast.
A-Rod is one of the biggest turnarounds in life of all time.
J-Lo.
And it's partially due to being a 16-year-old Red Sox fan when he's slapping the ball out of whoever's glove that was at first base
Bronson
and then arguing
Arroyo.
about it. Yeah. Like, you look terrible doing that. And then, he
cheating
just becomes...
Also.
And I feel like he wasn't that great with the media at the time, even though he's a good media member now. Like, he just didn't know the things to say.
Well, steroids. That
okay,
didn't help.
All right,
that didn't help.
I guess steroids. A-Rod is just brutal, and off of steroids, A-Rod's a great guy, and he's a great analyst, and he's pretty funny, and his fiance is cool, and he seems like a great guy. Yeah, J-Lo and I are friends.
Oh, good. It's good to know.
I'm a J-Lo.
How do you figure?
Janko gets it.
There it is.
Steve's still just sitting there thinking about it, perplexed.
Still perplexed, actually.
So his first letter?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's J.
It's J.
And his last name.
Oh, Edlow. Wow, so stupid.
J-Lo, get it?
Okay. Oh, is this over yet?
Man,
are we
that
done
took
with the
a lot
podcast
of
this
time.
week?
What are we looking at tonight? 8 games tonight.
Patrick Corbin, absolute lock. The Rockies offense, if you want to call it offense on the road, is just
And against lefties, right?
It's so
That's
pathetic.
terrible.
It's absolutely so pathetic. I mean, Steven Strasburg is somebody that we always kind of joke about can't pitch in the heat. He can pitch in the heat if he's facing the Rockies because it just absolutely wiped the floor with him last night. And then Corbin's been excellent at home. His best baseball has been at Nationals Park. Doesn't look like there's any rain concerns, so that's always a +2, so we don't have to worry about that.
You never know there.
Corbin's the most expensive guy on the slate, $10,900, but that feels like a small price to pay when you're facing the Rockies on the road.
Yeah.
Tough time talking today, Bukes.
I know. A lot on my mind.
So...
They actually called him Butte, so that was
Bucks.
nice of you.
Speaking of Bucks, I go more for the gambling angle. Steve does the DFS angle. Patrick Corbin is going against Kyle Freeland. So
did the lines come out on that? Because they weren't up this
so
morning.
DK Sportsbook has the Nationals as -215 favorites.
Yeah.
Can't lay that. So if you go run line there, you're getting -112. That seems to make sense. Or you could just go first 5 innings and just take Corbin pretty much straight up against Freeland, which makes a ton of sense. And then I'm looking at Indians Blue Jays, and it's Bieber versus Stroman.
Tough.
So it's a good pitching matchup, which gets you a solid price on the Indians, -139. Bieber is hardly ever that cheap when he's on the mound.
Yeah, that's very true.
And I get that it's a good pitching matchup, but the Indians losing that game in extras 2-1 last night feels like just the Indians need this one more. And I guess I'm just buying into Cleveland's momentum and caring more because they have the wild card versus the Blue Jays not caring as much.
Stroman wants to look good for his Yankees.
Probably. So then I'll just take Cleveland's bullpen against Toronto's bullpen and feel good about that, I guess.
Gary Sanchez to the IL also. So you're right, he did get hurt.
What did he end up?
There you go.
What was it?
I think
Hamstring?
It was the ankle, groin strain.
Oh. He just had awful luck this season. This is like the 3rd trip to the IL. I feel like he's just been having. Honestly, at least for the Yankees, thank God everybody else is healthy. But I mean, Sanchez can just not stay healthy at all. He's just got. Because now, Austin Romine's going to be in the lineup for him? That's a big downgrade. Especially at this time, too, with the trade deadline coming up. That's a tough time to lose somebody like that. One other thing I just wanted to mention real quick, too, is Adam Wainwright is just... I can't figure this dude out at all. Every time I go against him, he pitches well. Every time I take him, he doesn't do well. I'm not sure where I'm with him tonight, so I'll keep everybody updated because that would actually decide how he pitches tonight against the Pirates.
I'm looking forward to that update.
Yes, I'm sure you are. But he's actually done pretty well against the Pirates so far. 11 strikeouts through 11 innings. Pirates are a tough team to strike out, so it's actually pretty impressive that he's striking out an average of a batter an inning at this point.
Reminder that, you guys always watch when I'm on MLB Network. That was the guy I talked about for my later in the week pick.
And he got scratched, right?
Was Adam Wainwright.
And he got scratched?
No, I said I picked someone for later in the week, so I picked him for Wednesday.
There was somebody you mentioned in the end.
Well, I picked stacking the National against Peter Lambert on Monday. Then the game got rained out.
That's what it was.
Yeah, it worked out.
So then they came out yesterday
and
and scored 11 runs against him. So if you just waited a day. No, they said Marco Gonzalez on Monday against the Rangers. He did pretty well.
I guess 2 more quick spots on teams with plus money. Marlins, Zach Gallen going against Ronaldo Lopez.
You gotta stop.
I am Marlins man, dude.
You gotta stop with the Marlins. Like
they got me last. They were good for me last night, dude. Zach Gallen is good.
Okay.
Ronaldo Lopez is not, and the Marlins are plus 105.
Okay.
Bullpen's not that much different. If you want to handicap that in, you take Marlins first 5 because Gallen's a lot better than Lopez. I am Marlins man. And the second spot would be Jake Odorizzi, plus 104 at home. Yes, it's the Yankees. We know about all that offense. But
coming
Odorizzi,
off a long game.
6-0 at home. Yeah, the Yankees bullpen obviously less effective after that long game. Odorizzi 6-0 at home with a 2.56 ERA. He beat the Yankees earlier this season, didn't allow a run, only 2 hits in 6 innings.
Don't take that Marlins bet. Jesus.
The Marlins will be very heavily featured on Wednesday's playbook article, MLB Best Bets.
I'm going to give you some homework. And I'm going to
I don't do homework.
We'll see how that affects the rankings.
I'm going to make a note so we can bring it up the next podcast. I want you to go through your bets from this year, all 50,000.
All right, that's already taking too long.
Just relax. I want you to go through all your Marlins bets, and I want you to let us know if you're up and down or down on the season betting the Marlins. I will guarantee you are down. I will bet you a breakfast sandwich that you can eat over your computer.
The breakfast sandwiches were free, and I'm up.
Yeah, but I would buy it for you if I was wrong. So that obviously means more. I want to know if you're up or down against the Marlins because I guarantee you're down. They are a losing team. Just like when you gave that BS.
Well, no, but yeah, it's. Oh, go ahead.
When you gave that BS stat about Cashner.
That's where I knew you were going to say that because I can read your mind.
Because the guy's an idiot.
And Cashner, well, obviously he hasn't been profitable with the Red Sox, but as of the date being traded to the Red Sox, he was the most profitable pitcher in MLB.
No,
it's not like, dude, if you hit on Marlins plus 235,
okay,
you can lose the next 2 games if you're betting the same amount each game and still be profitable.
Oh, thanks. That's called math. I get it.
Exactly.
All right, so do your math.
This is how you make money in baseball. Like, plus money is your friend.
Oh, I need that tip now. Okay.
Good time to mention here, of course, that the odds and lines are subject to change. See website for actual odds. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and would like some help, please call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Perfect.
Call 1-800-MARLINS, and I'll tell you if the Marlins are going to win that night.
This idiot.
Quickly go and buy that.
I think we're done.
Get the phone line jack installed so you can. Hey, one thing that's pretty cool to mention. We will never likely talk golf on here.
Nope.
Would not subject anybody here to our brains when it comes to golf, but pretty cool. DraftKings official fantasy game of the PGA Tour.
I am just here for Pat Mayo on TV during one of the PGA Tour. That's all I'm here for. The guy deserves it.
Big news for our good friend Reed T. Fowler. Very excited.
Well.
Very excited for Reed.
Yes, I hope this leads to big things for both Pat and Reed, two deserving guys who definitely deserve it.
And Jeff Ulrich.
Yeah, he's okay.
Another OG golf writer here at the DK Playbook. But
we do have some really good golf writers here. So
yeah, bottom line, a lot of great golf content on the DK Playbook and on DK Live as well on the Sweat. Anywhere that our brand is displayed, there's going to be great golf content, assuming it's not coming from us. You're not going to get great. You might get funny golf content from us, but you will not get.
But that's very cool, and
content.
It's good to see PGA and golf kind of embracing the daily fantasy realm because, I mean, to be quite honest, I don't know if it's directly connected. I don't have any hard research, but the buzz on golf is definitely at a high. And
totally. It's the greatest like DFS game, especially if you're talking about a sport that you don't usually watch or have any reason to watch. It's up there. It's a lot of fun. It's a 4-day sweat too, which I think is unique and
that definitely
and very interesting.
And especially in that prime 18 to 35 market, like that's the one you want to target. So definitely bringing the buzz. And that's good.
Synergy, alignment,
yes.
sync. You're getting a lot of get all the buzzwords in there. SEO. No, without a doubt. I mean, it's brought an interest. DFS has helped bring an interest to golf outside of the majors, on a weekly basis. And it is cool. You're 100% right. It is really cool to see that be acknowledged and see it grow. Because, there's going to be a lot of – it's not just the content. And, yes, we will have content on the PGA Tour's website. We'll have video as well. But there's going to be some integrations, both our app, their app, coming down the road that are just going to be awesome and really help you follow along and then educate yourself too on how you're going to go about setting your lineups.
And in the industry, we call that a tease.
All right. Well, we might as well leave it on that wink.
I winked for all the viewers who are listening. Very important.
Oh, yes.
Your computer.
Sorry. Again. In front of his clean keyboard, Steve Buchanan looked at
brand new
his one shot and gave a wink. It was creepy. For Julian Edlow, Steve Buchanan, I'm Alex Jankowski. We'll see you folks next time.